So it's just been announced by the Chancellor Kwasi Kwarteng that one of his tax spending that he announced only 10 days ago is going to be scrapped, which is the abolition of the 45% tax rate for the super rich. So if you remember, he announced that on Friday last week, or week before actually, that he was going to abolish, not even just seize it or reduce it, abolish the whole rate of 45% tax. And no matter what you think about the 45% tax rate, they say that if you tax the rich people even more, they'll start moving their money abroad or in tax shelters. No matter what you think about that, it's wrong at the time when people can't heat their homes, can't eat, having to have free jobs, and nurses are leaving the NHS in their droves to go and work in retail because they're not being paid enough. To hear that the Chancellor is borrowing, not even cutting spending on something else, but borrowing money to give back to the super rich, it just doesn't make any sense. So yesterday, Liz Truss on Laura Kunzberg program on Sunday morning said they weren't going to do anything to change course, and this morning, Monday morning, just now, on Nick Robinson's program on BBC4, Kwasi Kwarteng has categorically said yes, he's going to reverse on this 45% tax rate. So finally there is some sense, but also I think it's to do with there's too much damage being done with this mini budget, so they're having to get on the front foot and retract all the stuff that they've said. Now the problem is for you and I in properties and borrowing and investment and interest rate, that doesn't help us. So interest rate has already been whacked up again, and there will be potential of it going up again this month because borrowing rate is rising. That means mortgage rate has considerably risen. So on average, for an average borrower in the UK, that's an average increase since Kwasi Kwarteng's budget of £900 a year. So that's a tremendous amount of money that we didn't have to pay, we shouldn't have had to pay, now we're having to pay. And unfortunately, if it's locked in, that means a lot of the borrowing has tremendously increased, which will affect residential owners, buy-to-let owners, and landlords and everybody else. And the last thing to say is there's still no fixed rate at the moment because the banks have been spooked by this budget. So lending is a nightmare at the moment. So if you are thinking about going to the property market at the moment, you may want to hang on for a couple of weeks to see how that settles.